Indian railways are the lifeline of the nation. Without them, the country simply cannot function. And nowhere more so than in Bombay, India's premier city. In 2005, it suffered the highest rainfall recorded in the city's history. A meter of rain fell in 12 hours. The deluge could not drain away fast enough, and the city suffered its worst ever flood. The suburban network was paralyzed, trains marooned, stations cut off. Over 1,000 people lost their lives. India's richest, most powerful city had been strangled by the monsoon rains. But amazingly, in less than 48 hours, the trains were running again. This is the story of the Bombay Railway. Bombay was originally made up of 7 islands of low-lying swamps and malaria-infested mudflats. Gifted by the Portuguese to the British, it had always been a trading city. But with the coming of the railway, Bombay began to boom. Today, some parts of the city have a population density of 1 million people per square mile. By 2020, Bombay is set to be the world's largest city. Six and a half million commuters travel up and down on the city's suburban rail network. It's like a small country on the move. And every day, 10,000 new immigrants swell the city's population.
The Alice in Wonderland type of situation. You have to keep on going 2 steps to remain where you are. We have no control over that. Our job is to provide transportation. And if 10,000 people are coming here and they have better opportunities. Mumbai is a land of dreams. This is where the dreams are made.
The dream of the British Empire was to crisscross the subcontinent with a railway that would be the envy of the world. In the heart of the city, they built Victoria Terminus, a railway station of cathedral-sized proportions, now the most photographed building in India after the Taj Mahal. It stands on the site of the very first railway line to be laid in India more than 150 years ago. The British Raj in India was merely a blip in the history of this country. The British were simply the last invaders in a catalogue of occupations. But the Indians themselves have never invaded another country in over 5,000 years. The British left in 1947. They left behind the foundations of the legal system, the civil service, the principles of democracy, and the railways. Today, India is the world's largest democracy, and it runs the greatest rail network in all Asia. And it all started here. But perhaps it was the British sense of time which was most alien to the population. Clocks and timetables were a difficult concept, but the railway revolutionized travel and introduced a British sense of time. Today, the tower clock, made by London Blockley in 1888, faces the city from the dome of the station, and it's still wound by hand.
आठवड्यातून एक दोनदा आता आम्ही चावी देऊ पूर्वी एक वेळच द्यायचं पण त्याचे रोप वायर तुटल्यामुळे आम्ही आता आठवड्यातून 2 वेळा बाहेर.
They say that when the wire broke, the counterweight fell through the ceiling of the general manager's private bathroom, destroying a fine collection of memorial plates. The tower clock has been called the Big Ben of Bombay, except it doesn't chime. After independence, the private railway companies were nationalized. Bombay changed its name to Mumbai. Victoria Terminus became the headquarters of the Central Railway and changed its name to Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, or CST for short. And its sister station at Churchgate became headquarters of the Western Railway. Between them, these two railways must carry millions of commuters in and out of the city every day. The railway is so heavily used here that almost 50% of all passenger journeys in India are either to or from Mumbai.
लेना नंबर 2975 जो कि 380 जाएगा सर.
To help keep the suburban system running, in the operation room, teams of highly trained controllers keep the trains moving. It's as complicated an operation as at any airport. The TMS, or Train Management System, is the very latest technology employed by the Indian Railways to keep its trains running on time.
We have a fairly good reputation for doing it very punctually. Our punctuality is around 97%, and we have very few cancellations. That's about 0.1% of the total running.
O.P. Chaturvedi is one of 500 or so drivers and guards on the suburban network. O.P. joined the railway when life in the city was so much simpler.
When 74 I came to Bombay, it was not so crowded. Trains were not running so much. It was hardly running 550 or 600 trains in 24 hours. Nowadays, running 1730 trains within 24 hours. Very crowded. Pressure is there.
O.P. had already gained a science degree when he applied to the Indian Railways for a job, a coveted government position, secure, well paid, respected. 30 years on and now a senior driver on the Central Railway, both the city and the job have lost a little of their glitter.
Less signals, less tension. More signals, more tension. Less speed, less tension. More speed, more tension. '76, I started my training as assistant driver, and 4 months training afterwards coming online. From '76 to 2006 means 30 years I'm running on these lines.
The motorman's lobby is at the back of VT station, and it's here that drivers and guards like O.P. report for duty each day. Although there are numerous forms to fill out and daily notices to read on everything from track maintenance to signal changes, there's more personal information on who's retiring and who's due for a medical. The lobby is a home from home. Old friends, good tea, a place to relax and reminisce about the old days when a rupee was a rupee.
In the end of month, I would save bloody 20-30 rupees. I used to save after smoking, everything. So it was very cheap. Previously, when I'm taking my bag and I'm telling my missus I'm going for duty, I'm very happy I'm going to work my train. I'm a driver. But now I'm 54. God has given my fate. You have to bloody run the trains on these tracks. Work like a bloody donkey. You won't get anything. So, I'm doing that.
More than 2,000 trains travel up and down the city's 300 kilometers of suburban track, 24 hours a day. During peak hours, the pressure on the drivers is so great that trains cannot stop for more than 30 seconds at any one station. With the city's roads in a state of almost permanent gridlock, the railways remain the most reliable, the most environmentally friendly, the fastest and cheapest way of travelling around the city.
You'll be surprised to know that our season tickets are so cheap that I charge a person 7 paisa for a kilometer in second class. So the heat, 7 paisa. I mean, 1 rupee is 100 paisa, and I think 45 rupees is $1. So you divide it by 45 and divide it by 100 and then multiply by 7 for 1 kilometer.
It works out so cheap that a ticket costs less than a penny per mile. But as the working population expands, the city's commuters have to travel greater and greater distances to work, and transporting them is stretching the system to its limit.
We run an average of about 3,000 passengers per train. That is what puts a pressure on our system. And since everybody wants to come in the morning, we have defined morning peak hours and evening peak hours. Morning peak, the movement is towards south. People from north are coming towards south. And we run about 99 trains in about 3-hour period carrying these people. And that is why the overcrowding is of such, what we euphemistically call super dense crush load factor. As if we have coined a word for that. Super dense crush load factor.
As the sun sets on another working day, commuters begin their journey home in trains meant to carry 1,200 people. At peak times, they often carry up to 5,000. This is the super dense crush load. Mumbai is the commercial and financial capital of India, and it's booming. But living in this city is tough and expensive. The railway is overcrowded, but without it the city could not function. The writer Suketu Mehta calls Bombay the boot camp of the West. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. the 16th of April 1853, the British completed the first railway line in India. It ran between Bombay's Victoria Terminus and Thane, a small town 21 miles due north. Thane has now become a major urban centre, and the station one of the network's most important railway junctions. The Indian Railways officially employs 1.5 million people, but there are countless millions of unofficial workers who rely on the railways to make a living. Balu Dokali arrived on Thane station as a penniless runaway kid, and he never left. As he grew up around the station, Balu became something of an entrepreneur. Now he has fingers in many pies, a regular Jack the Lad. He collects the license money from the shoe shine boys on the platform, and he's part owner of a juice stall. Everybody on Thane station seems to know him, or owe him. Throughout his life, the railway and its passengers have provided him with something of a living.
लहानाचा मोठा इकडं तिकडं फिर आपल्या हिशोबाने एकटाच कोण नाही मागे पुढे बिंदास एकदम कधी असं हे नाही कोणाची भीती आपल्याला म्हणजे असं आलं तर आपला असं भंगार वगैरे वेचायचं कागदपत्रे वगैरे वेचले त्यानंतर आपला बूट पॉलिश केली फार काम केले एकदम.
Now that Balu is married with 3 kids, a house and a pension plan, he wants to put something back into the station community.
तर ते आता पळून येतात लहान मुलं आता असे मुलं चिकार आहेत आपल्या इथे तर त्यांना हेल्प करतो आपण कशासाठी आपल्या मागे कोण नव्हता तर त्यांना चांगल्या धंद्यावर राहतो नाही तर काय ते सुलोचन वगैरे पितात आणि ते आउटलाईनला जातात ना.
सेक्टर काढू करणार नाव आहे 2004 मध्ये मुंबईला आलो 1 जूनला माझा वाढदिवस होता त्या दिवशी राहुल मला भेटला भाऊ तुमच्यावर राहू का राहा पण असं कुठं काही करू नको म्हणजे चोरी बिरी केली आमच्यावर राहू नको म्हणजे तुमच्यावर आम्ही अटकणार माझे वडील दारू प्यायचे रोज मारायचे बाहेर दोस्तासमोर मारायचे आणि ते पब्लिक जाते मला असं कोणी मारलं ना इज्जत गेली ना मला चांगलं नाही वाटत. राग पुढे जाऊन कमवून तर आणायचं नाव तर कमवत ते मारतायपेक्षा आहे की नाही.
चली मेरी ये रेल है ऐसी
This city has been the favorite destination for runaway kids for generations. There's a unique bond between them and the railway. For Balu, who survived and prospered, there's also a sense of duty. So as well as helping runaway kids like Shankar, Balu is a volunteer driver for the station ambulance.
ये मेरा एम्बुलेंस है अपना सेवा करता हूँ अपना रेलवे का एक्सीडेंट होता है तुरंत मैं हाजिर रहता हूँ टीचर है अंदर सब रखेला है लेके जाने के बाद में अपना उसको सिविल हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट कर देता है और अपन 24 घंटा इधर रहता है.
Railway stations and railway trains have been woven into the fabric of Indian life for more than 150 years. For traders, the railway is an inexhaustible marketplace. For runaway kids, it's a place where you can feel part of the railway family and free to be yourself. Whatever your skill, you can always earn a few rupees on the train. And for poor kids, hawking or begging offers a practical but illegal survival option. Every day, another 30 runaways land up at railway stations in the city. And like everyone else, they come to make a better life. On the suburban railway, women have always had the option of travelling separately from men. Yet despite their liberal attitudes, in this, the most modern of Indian cities, every suburban train has ladies-only compartments. Outside of peak hours, they provide a more secure and calmer environment for lady commuters and for professional hawkers like Lavinga.
200 वाले 150. अरे मेरे मैडम लोग लवली लवली है ना, तो पहनने से भी लवली लवली दिखती. दोनोंच कलर, लॅव्हेंडर कलर तुम्हाला छान दिसेल. फेअर अँड लवली. फेअर अँड लवली. फेअर अँड लवली.
In 1992, the railways introduced a new concept, the ladies only special. Running 7 times a day, the specials were a big hit with the ladies and with Lavinga.
ऐसा फेरी का धंधा करती, पर मेरे बच्चे को मुझे कुछ बनाना है. और मेरे कास्ट में, मेरे जो कुटुंब में कोई पढ़ेले नहीं. साउथ कॉटन. और मुझे अच्छा लगता है कि मेरा बच्चा भी इंग्लिश बोले मेरे. मेरा परिवार के लिए मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं जहाँ तक मेरा हाथ पैर चलता है, तहाँ तक मैं खूब लॉन्ग टाइम मेहनत करूंगी. किसके लिए? बच्चे लोग की पढ़ाई के लिए. और सबके बराबर मैं रहना चाहती हूँ, जो मेरे ऑफिसर गिराक के बराबर रहना चाहती हूँ. कि मेरा सपना वो है कि मैं वो कर सकती.
Hawking on trains goes on all over India, but it's illegal. So whether you're selling toothbrushes or saris, if you're caught, you'll be arrested and fined, and maybe even go to jail.
डर तो लगता है आरपीएफ से. पुलिस से कौन नहीं डरेंगे? अच्छे अच्छे भी डरेंगे ना. चलो बाय. बाय मैडम.
To protect the public and the system, the railways has its own police, the Railway Protection Force. The RPF is a paramilitary outfit. They provide security on trains and stations for dignitaries and officials, sometimes keeping public order, and often on parade. They are all railway employees, and as railway employees, their police powers are limited. Their normal daily duties involve the policing of petty crimes. But the spirit of his paramilitary training has never left RPF Inspector Dinesh Kanodia. When morale needs a boost, he's keen to remind his men that in the fight against railway crime, they've been trained to kill.
हथियार है तो आपके पास में कोई घटना होती है, डकैती होती है, रॉबरी होती है, लूट होती है, तो आप उसको उड़ा सकते हैं. आपका हथियार क्यों दिया गया? स्वयं की सुरक्षा और पब्लिक की रक्षा. अगर वो किसी डेथ होती है, उसे कुछ होती है, रॉबरी है या मर्डर करता है, तो उसको आप उड़ा सकते हैं. उससे भय पैदा होगा, उससे क्राइम कम होगा, क्राइम खत्म होगा. ठीक है? पंडित साहब सावधान, ड्यूटी के लिए स्पष्ट था.
As public servants and guardians of railway property, most RPF time is spent dealing with minor misdemeanors. Travelling without a ticket, riding on the roof of a train or crossing the track are all illegal. And like hawking, if you're arrested, you're liable to a fine and you could be sent to jail.
चलिए अंदर अंदर ही क्या नाम है हैं मोहन तो तुम कितने बार जेल में रह चुका है 2 बार जेल में जा चुका है कौन कौन से क्यों किस लिए तो बिना टिकट रेलवे में पकड़ा और वापस रेलवे से फिर जाना चाहता है तीसरी बार हो जाएगा बेटा तेरा इनको ले जाओ चलो शुरू करो इनको ऐसा पुराना रिकॉर्ड देख लीजिए क्या करता था जाओ वहां पे जाओ लिखाइए आप और क्या टाइम हो रहा है हां चला जाए
Commuters struggling home crowd the trains and the stations as the time of the super dense crush load begins. For the railway and for the public, this is the most dangerous time of the day. People are willing to take all kinds of risks to save time and to save money. But commuters die. They fall off trains, get electrocuted on the roof, but most commonly they're hit by a train. Nearly everyone walks across the tracks rather than cross by the footbridges. When these trains are running at maximum frequency and maximum speed, there's no room for error. Thousands lose their lives each year on this railway, the majority whilst illegally crossing the tracks. And the railways seem unable to stop them. In rural India, you can always hear the train coming. But in Mumbai, trains run silently and fast, and their approach is muffled by the sounds of the city. For the victims, it is death. But for the drivers, it is both dangerous and traumatic. At the motorman's lobby in Victoria Terminus, drivers and guards are praying to the goddess Durga on the full moon. She's been adopted as the patron saint of railway operations, and they believe she will remove obstacles from their path and keep them safe from harm. As the rush reaches its peak, O.P. Chaturvedi awaits his train allocation. He knows that somewhere on the suburban system today, up to 10 people may be killed, and many others will be injured. They will mostly be trespassers, illegally crossing the track to save time.
In Bombay city, you cannot stop it. Last 30 years I am working and I am seeing this. People are in so hurry. They don't use bridges and all. They want shortcut. एक गाड़ी से इधर गाड़ी जंप मारा वो प्लेटफॉर्म पे गया उधर वो गाड़ी भाग रहे वो गाड़ी पकड़ हाउ कैन यू स्टॉप कितना भी आप पुलिस फोर्स लगा लो कितना भी उसके ऊपर आप कोई रूल बना लो कानून बना लो यू कैन नॉट स्टॉप As far as possible, we try to save the person. As far as possible. After running over a person, the duty is driver, the body should not be under the track. The track should be clear. So suppose body is inside, then myself, my guard, we will pick up that body and keep it out of the track. And we start the train and next station The duty of guard is that guard will pass a memo. I attend so and so kilometer. One person is run over. I have cleared the track. So you please arrange whatever.
On the platform at Diva Station lies the unidentified body of a young girl killed on the tracks. The authorities suspect suicide, but the railway police cannot confirm this. The body of the young girl is to be taken to nearby Thani station, where Balu's voluntary ambulance service will take her to the nearest hospital morgue for a post-mortem. She has no identity papers, but they think she is a Hindu.
मी लय वेळा बघितलाय का माणसाला उडवताना बघितलाय, तुकडे तुकडे बघितले एकदम बारीक बारीक. थोड्यात बोललं तर चिकार जाते रोजचे 3-4 होतात. आता 11 तारखेला बकरीदच्या दिवशी 7 झाले. एकाचा तर पूर्ण साफ झाला एकदम मुंडगं वगैरे. मी लहानपासून बघतोय हे सगळे ऍक्सिडेंट वगैरे. मी किती वेळा ट्रेननी वाचलो पण आहे लाईन क्रॉसिंग करताना.
हा दरवाजा बंद करा.
ही सुसाईड केस आहे. ही
डोक्याला लागलं मार काही एक पाय गेला.
काय पण गेलं हे तर सुसाईड आहे. होतं कोण कोण करतात. रेल्वे असा नाही एकदम आलं का डायरेक्ट पटका, डायरेक्ट एंड, संपलं कहाणी.
For Balu, it's just another routine pickup. For Opie, running over a person is an occupational hazard, a burden he's grown to accept.
I can't give you the exact numbers, but it is near about 65-70 in full length of service. Within 2-3 days it is happening. Somebody saved, somebody gone. Yeah, we can't do anything. Suppose anybody is run over from my train, you just think for their families. But even then, if he is not saved, then God is with.
Each year, 3,500 people are killed by trains in the city, and the numbers are rising. The suburban railway runs almost 24 hours a day. The last train arrives at 2:40 a.m. The first train leaves less than an hour later. Mumbai is a city that never sleeps, and neither does the railway. For long-distance travelers, platforms become waiting rooms, and the stations become sanctuaries for people with nowhere else to go. For Shankar, ex-beggar, shoeshine boy, hawker, labourer and tea boy, life on Thani station has reached an all-time low.
स्टेशन है, 1 नंबर फायर है, ब्रिज है प्लेटफॉर्म। बोलिए भाई खावा
Mumbai was once 7 islands, and for the last 300 years, they've been joining them up. The population has grown so quickly that living space and transport systems have become the city's most urgent priorities.
On both systems of Central Railway and Western Railway, we carry more than 6 million passengers a day. I think this sort of traffic doesn't exist anywhere in the world. Mumbai is the El Dorado of our country. It's the city of dreams. We introduce 100 more trains. I think another 100,000 would come to this town and start living somewhere, saying that the services are now available.
The railway plans longer trains, more lines, and even a metro. But it all takes time.
There are grand plans are there, but nobody to implement it. For another 50 years, things will be like this only. I mean, I will not be alive, but my children and all will be traveling, things will be like this.
It is the duty of the railways to provide adequate facilities to the customers who are paying their hard-earned money.
पहले तो जब मैं आया था आर्मी से रिटायर होके, तो मेरे को बम्बई का ऐसा लगा कि मैं कहीं लड़ाई के युद्ध के छाया में घुस गया हूँ.
A massive redevelopment and expansion program has been launched. But middle-class commuters facing ever more overcrowding and rising fatalities are not happy with the railway's progress.
यहाँ आंदोलन करने के लिए आए हुए रेल यात्रियों को मनुष्य के जैसे व्यवहार मिले. इस वर्ष जनवरी से अक्टूबर तक मरे हुए लोगों की संख्या है 3008. 2 साल का हिसाब लगाते हैं तो मरे हुए लोगों की संख्या है 6949. पाकिस्तान के साथ जब युद्ध हुआ तब इतने लोग भी नहीं मरे थे.
Part of the problem for the railways is that the system cannot run any more trains. There's just no more space. And they cannot construct more lines because much of the existing tracks are hemmed in by slums. It's been estimated that over 50% of the city's population live in slums. More than 7 million people. With their plastic and bamboo hutments, generations have grown up living beside the line. To expand the network, these railside shanties, for so long a part of the city's landscape, will have to go. Today's operation to remove slum dwellers from this section of line is the result of months of preparation. It involves railway police, city police, municipal officials and contract labourers.
जो उसका पर्सनल बिलोंगिंग है उसको कोई हाथ नहीं लगाएगा. अगर आपके सामने कोई लेबर उनके पर्सनल सामान का टच करता है तो उनको मना कर दीजिए. बाकी जो भी इंक्रोचमेंट का रॉ मटेरियल है, जैसे बम्बू हुआ, पतरा हुआ या जो भी है, उसको गाड़ी में लोड करेंगे, उसको लोड कराना है। बहुत से इंक्रोचर क्या है कि लेकर के भागते हैं।
पैकेट भी हमारा इधर पड़ा था। अरे भगवान, वो गला का पट्टा भी किधर रखा है? फायदा 2 साल है, 40 वर्ष क्या, 40 वर्ष इधर है, फायदा क्या हमको?
Legally, families who have lived in a slum for more than a decade are entitled to be rehoused by the state government. Faced with the destruction of their homes, almost every slum dweller claims to be a long-term resident.
95 का क्या है? 20 बरस का है, तभी भी ये लोग हैरान करते हैं। हम लोग का पक्का ही है, हमारे पास कागज है, फोटो पास है, सब राशन कार्ड है।
The slums have created a major bottleneck in the expansion of the railways in Mumbai. And the process of clearing them, rehousing the people, and building new lines will take another 10 years. At Central Station, the women's division of the RPF, known as G77, are planning a raid on the ladies' special. Dressed in plain clothes, they are on the lookout for ticketless travellers and illegal hawkers.
आता तुम्ही पुढच्या डब्यामध्ये फक्त दारामध्ये बघा, असेल तर उतरून घ्या. चलो.
The first victim of the raid is a young girl selling bangles. Lavinga has been arrested. At Central Station, she's formally charged. She knows the procedure. She's been here many times before.
गाड़ी में क्यों धंधा करती है?
कुछ काम है नहीं ना मैडम, हम लोग को काम धंधा है नहीं। मिस्टर को भी सर्विस नहीं, मेरे को भी सर्विस नहीं।
लेकिन गाड़ी में बेचना, फेरी लगाना, वो क्या अलाउड है तुमको?
एक्चुअली मैं ऐसा फेरी नहीं लगाती, जो मेरे रोज के कस्टमर के ऑर्डर रहते हैं ना, वो मैं ला के देती है और किसको मैं तकलीफ नहीं।
तो कस्टमर को उनके घर देने का, नहीं तो ऑफिस में दोगे। ट्रेन में क्यों देने का? ट्रेन में दिखाए, ट्रेन में बेचे तो ट्रेन में पकड़े जाओगे। फायदा क्या है?
वही एक ही लेडी स्पेशल लेके फिर चले आते।
कोई भी ट्रेन में आपको जाने का नहीं। और हमारा काम है, जो भी हॉकर दिखते हैं उनको हम ये करेंगे, प्रोसिक्यूट करेंगे ही, उनको हटाएंगे ही। वो आने का नहीं है, आज आएंगे, कल आएंगे, परसों आएंगे, डेली करना ही है। कितना बार तुम लोगों को समझाने का है?
बात है, आपके हिसाब से जो हमारा जो हेल्प होता है वो आप जरा।
हम क्या हेल्प कर सकते हैं, बोलो।
करो जी।
Special Constable Annapurna has heard it all before. Lavinga is to appear before the magistrate the next day. As his 15th birthday approaches, Shankar is taking a long, hard look at his life. Thanks to Balu and the railways, he survived in Thane for more than 2 years.
पेटी लावली एक का 2 महिने पेटी लावली. मग 3 दिवस धंदा गेला. मला असं जीवावर येतं. सिगरेट फोर्स कर द्यायचं. व्यसन नाही केलं फक्त तर गांजा पिलं. पोराने शिकवलेलं टेस्टिंगच्या. तर फक्त सुलोचन पितात. गांजा बिंजा माहिती, बिडी माहिती. दुसरं पण एक महिना असं कधी 2-1 हप्ता 1 हप्ता बदली काम. असं म्हणजे कोणी आम्हाला असं वाटतं कोणी पोलिसांनी पकडलं, आईवडील कुठे फोन आलेले.
Most major stations in Mumbai and throughout India have their own railway courts. They mainly deal with victimless crimes and minor misdemeanors. The magistrate today in Court 36 is Prakash Rahul, a human rights lawyer and a published poet.
In court I see about 500 people a day. So where hawkers are concerned, they come near about 300-400 people come. They have no other option, there is no other go to do anything. So they have to do the same thing. They again come, pay fine and do the same thing.
The whole process takes about 15 minutes and Lavinga has been fined 400 rupees. For her, it's just an overhead. But more importantly, she's also lost a day's business on the train.
Being a magistrate, I have to be a magistrate. I have to go by the evidence which comes before me. And I have to deliver a judgment, pronounce a judgment as per the record before me. Even though the poet is not happy with that, I have to do that as a magistrate. So that inspired me a lot. So I have written a poem on it also. लोहे की लकीरों पे दौड़ते रहना ही हमारी जिंदगी है. कंगी कलम कंगन गुलाब ही तो बेचते हैं, कोई असला या गर्द का जहर तो नहीं बेचते. फिर भी सिपाही की कहर वाली नजर से बचते नहीं और मुंसिफ है कि सजा देने से नहीं थकता. और हम ये गुनाह रोज करने से नहीं चूकते, क्योंकि इन लोहे की लकीरों से ही हमारे घर के चूल्हों के लौ बरकरार है.
Balu is one of life's natural survivors. But the railways have been his life, and today he's grateful for that.
एकदम खास, एकदम म्हणजे ती स्टेशन बोललं तर आणि रेल्वे एकदम चांगली आपल्यासाठी. म्हणजे आई आहे. आपल्या वडिलांनी काय सोडलं नाही आपल्याला, पण आपल्या पोरांसाठी सगळं केलंय. घर दार सगळं करून ठेवलंय. आपलं आता समजा मला काय झालं तर यांना मी जे एक दिवस काढलेत हे कधी जिंदगीत ह्यांच्यात येणार नाही. माझे स्वतःचे 4 पॉलिसी आहेत. असं कधी समजा दुर्घटना पण झाली तर यांना तरी 10 ते 15 लाख रुपये आरामशीर भेटते. तेवढा ते आरामशीर ते शाळा वगैरे शिकून जावापर्यंत. आणि जी लहान आहे ती मुलगी आमची एकदम सगळ्यांचे बंदोबस्त करून ठेवले. बेफिकर एकदम, नो टेंशन.
For the less fortunate, who've fallen through the net, there's just one option left: charity. Having survived on the railway for more than 2 years, Shankar has decided to join ASRA, one of the many charities who look after the city's orphaned and runaway kids.
आता असं वाटतं माझं घर आहे, असं वाटतं माझं घर आहे. हे कसं म्हणजे तिकडे टेन्शनची आठवण येतच नाही मला, तिकडे चांगलं नाही म्हणून मी तिकडे राहिलो का. इकडे सगळं मिळायला, खेळायला मिळते, घालायला मिळते, कपडे मिळतात, जेवायला मिळतं. आपल्याला सगळं चांगले, स्वच्छ राहू शकतो, चांगलं शिकू शकतो. पिला 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 इकडे टाइमवर उठायचं, टाइमवर हे करायचं. शाळेत टाकणार आहे मला आता जून मध्ये, शाळेत जात. आता मी जर शिकलो तर मी पुढं शिकलो तर पुढं पाऊल टाकू शकतो, नाही शिकलो तर मग टेन्शनला हवा खावा लागते. मला स्वप्न आहे मोठं व्हायचं आणि नोकरी बिकरी काय बघायची.
It is not a bad life, but it is not a satisfactory life. Not bad life. It is a, I can say, thrilling job है थोड़ा. But up to a certain age, it is all right. But after crossing that period, it is very horrible. Now I am 54. All the bloody joints are loose. So tomorrow morning I have to go for duty. So bloody I am going to think even from night. When tomorrow I have to go for duty. But I have to go.
OP has already completed more than 30 years of duty. And when he does retire, he'll lose his subsidized railway flat. But he's no worries about the future.
Suppose I retire today, I should get not less than 8,000 rupees pension. So 8,000 rupees is sufficient for 2 persons, myself and my missus. Money is no problem. Money is no problem, but I want to remain in Bombay. That is final. As soon as I retire, I take my hisab kitab from railways and I
After retirement, he'll receive his railway pension, free rail passes, and free medical care. Since he'll lose his railway flat, he's decided to move to the country, to his native place. One stop from the end of the western suburban line, Lavinga and her family are about to step onto the property ladder. Amazingly, after 12 years of hawking on the railway, she's saved enough money to put the deposit on a new build 2-bedroomed flat. It will be their first ever property and the start of a new life.
ये है ना जो बन रहा है ना, ये शॉपिंग मॉल बन रहा है, फिर सुपर मार्केट बन रहा है, इसके गार्डन है सबसे बड़ा बड़ा. इधर डाइनिंग टेबल सब रखेंगे, इधर सोफा सेट बनाएंगे. जो सोफा सेट है ना जो शो में बनाना है, और यहाँ पे क्या है, खिड़की पे अच्छे पर्दे आते हैं ना, शो पीस पे लगाएंगे. हाँ, मेरे रेल बोलेंगे तो मेरे माँ बाप मेरे सारे बोलते ना, मेरे सुख दुख के साथी माने मेरे लाइफ की वही सुखी, उससे तो मैं ये घर दार ये सब तरक्की मैंने किया और मेरा बिजनेस चल रहा है, मेरे बच्चे पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, उसके वजह से मेरे कुटुंब को देख रहे हैं, मेरे जोर से और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं बहुत खुश और आनंद, और मुझे बहुत आनंद हुआ मुझे मेरा घर मिलके।
चली चली मेरी रेल चली, हाँ चली चली मेरी रेल चली, चली चली मेरी रेल चली, हाँ चली चली मेरी रेल चली।
Railways actually is a microcosmic form of the country. Indian Railways is something what our country is. We are everywhere. We have followed all the tenets of our constitution. There is no caste, no creed. We treat everybody equal in this organization. And probably the working atmosphere that we have created shows what this country wants it to be socially.
यहीं पे जीना, यहीं पे है मरना, रेलगाड़ी मेरा जीवन हो, मुझे प्यार है तुमसे इतना, जैसे राधा कृष्ण हो।
In July 2006, a series of 7 terrorist bombs exploded on Mumbai's rush-hour trains. 200 people were killed and 700 injured. The attack brought all suburban trains to a complete standstill.
We knew that the loss of life which must have taken place cannot be reverted. But what we can probably do is to give a semblance of normalcy to the town so that when the town functions normally, there would not be law and order problem. We had announced that we'll run almost all the services the next day. So the schools were not closed, the offices were not closed, the markets were kept open. By 12 hours in the noon, we were back 100% on the rail.